want to welcome you to the Frankfurt Area Chamber of Commerce Candidate Debate Forum for Mayor of Frankfurt. The election to take place on November 3rd, 2020, or before, if you do the early voting. We're happy to have all of you with us tonight. The way the forum works is we'll give each candidate an opening statement of 1 minute. They'll get questions from our esteemed panel, which I'll introduce in just a second. At the end, we'll give each person an opportunity to have a closing statement. Each question you're asked, you have an opportunity to answer. You have 45 seconds for each response. If a follow-up questions on a regular basis, a panelist or even myself may ask a follow-up question to make sure that we get a full understanding of your answer. If that's the case, you get an additional 30 seconds. If you can see Susie on your screen, which you need to be able to see to make this a pleasant experience for you, she'll hold up a sign at 20, says 20 seconds, like she is right now, and then she'll hold up another sign that says stop. Now, when she does that, I'm going to say thank you or try to be nice about getting you to wrap up. If you hear me in the background, that means that David's only a few seconds away from muting you. So please, at that point, wrap up your answer, and we'll go on to the next topic, next statement. So again, thanks to everybody for being here. We have a panel, 3 individuals. We have Steve Stewart from the Frankfurt State Journal, Kathy Lindsay from the Frankfurt Plant Board, and Kristen Cantrell from Cap City Communications. They are also 3 of the sponsors. The co-sponsors with the Chamber are the State Journal, the Frankfurt Plant Board, Cap City Communications, and Together Frankfurt. So the group of us come together to do this forum. Susie Hosley, who's the incoming interim president appointee, congratulations, Susie, will keep the time, as you know. We have 2 candidates for mayor that we're happy to have with you. I can see them both. This is good news. Got Tommy Haynes. You can wave if you want, Tommy. And Elaine Wilkerson. Okay, so are we ready to begin? Everybody good to go? We also have David Columbia, as you know, sitting in the background. He's our silent partner in this process, making sure we get it done. What he's going to do at the end, by the way, they will take this back and edit it. So I think they're going to try to make us all sound good, which is good, and edit it for content. And then it'll start airing on Cable 10 next week, I understand. So this will be something that'll air between now and the election. It'll be maybe one of the last opportunities you have to reach the entire community at one time. So thank you for being here. I appreciate your participation. Okay, we're going to start with opening statements. We're going to do this in alphabetical order to begin with. So Mayor Candidate Tommy Haynes, you have 1 minute for an opening statement. You may begin, sir.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello, Frankfurt. I'm Tommy Haynes, and I'm running for the mayor of the great city of Frankfurt. I tell you, with all the different challenges that are going on right now, I just think with my background, I have an opportunity to show how the military has trained me in leadership and how all the other job offers have prepared me for this opportunity. I look forward, and I really thank the Chamber of Commerce for doing this because, we don't get a chance to get out much. Thank you for giving me my time here and my square. And I like to unite people together. And I look forward to all of us working together. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Our next candidate for mayor, Elaine Wilkerson. Elaine, you have 1 minute for an opening statement, sir.
Okay, great to see everyone on here. It's like it's a reunion of sorts. I wanted to say first that as a native of Frankfurt, I have pride in our community and I want to see it prosper. I care about the city's future. And the first thing that we need to do is take care of the COVID-19 recovery and get through that so that we're stronger on the other side than we were going into it. And what we need to do on the other side is focus on economic diversity plans so that we can not be so reliant on state government. We can focus on a city-wide revitalization, not just downtown, but on the east and the west sides as well. And most importantly, I think, is the focus on the quality of life issues. That's going to be important to attract residents here. And we need somebody who can bring everyone together, many individuals and multiple organizations, so that we can get things done.
Thanks, Lane. Appreciate it. Good opening. Okay, we're going to start with the questions from our panel. Been working very hard to prepare for this, and I'm going to throw them a little bit of a loop. Kristen Cantrell, from Cap City Communications. Can you ask the first question, please? And can you direct the first question to candidate Elaine Wilkerson? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for being here this evening. So, Elaine, my first question is, describe your plans for building a leadership team with the city commissioners. What actions would you take to address conflict within the commission? What policies and procedures would you put in place to ensure that the city government staff are treated with civility and fairness in the workplace?
Thanks, Kristen. And I would say, first and foremost, we need to not focus on the conflict, but we need to focus on the commonalities that we all have. We all have priorities. There's going to be a new group coming in as commissioners. Everybody's going to have their own priorities. And let's find those things where we can all get together. And the things that we can agree on, let's take care of those first. The things that are differences, let's try to minimize that. Of course, we want to be open with the public, but some things don't need to be out there for everyone to see. I think we need to have a positive image so that we can set a good example for the rest of Frankfurt.
Okay,
Thank you. Tommy Haynes?
Unmute.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if she was going to repeat the question, but I think I understand what was asked. One of the best things about the experience I have is when I was in the military, every 4 years you had to change. You got a new group of people that you had to lead, and you had to convince them to follow. And I think that's what's necessary also with the group that we have now. You got to build teamwork. If you don't have the teamwork, it's not going to work out. You can agree to disagree on things. Those are okay, but you don't need to be in arguments. It's one of those, you put the facts up and you go through one of those training teamwork building sessions, and that's the way we come together. We also have a lot of policies already in place. If you look at the policies that you have and know whose duties are what, you don't get into those gray areas. You make sure you make decisions based on the information you've received. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Okay, let's go with the next question. Kathy Lindsay, guess what? You're second. Would you ask your question initially of Tommy Haynes, please?
Yes. So if elected in 2021, you'll be leading a city that not only you as the new mayor, there'll be a new city manager, at least 2 new city commissioners, a new Chamber of Commerce director, and a new director of Downtown Frankfurt, Inc. Those are big changes, considering the gravity of local projects we have going. And, we're coming out of a very challenging year. I think we can all agree. So what do you see as the challenges and opportunities that all of these changes are bringing? And how will you work through all of that as the new mayor?
Thank you. And that's a mouthful, Kathy. I'm glad I'm running a positive platform. The first thing I think of is a positive attitude. We've got to make sure that we have the entire people of Frankfurt knowing that we have the best people, we have the best resources right here in Frankfurt. You get that down, then you go to your positive partnerships. You got to make sure that these organizations are working together because we've been working too long in silos. The one thing this pandemic did point out is that we got to work together. Also, positive opportunities, because we have some young people that are ready to go into entrepreneurship. They're looking, when they see an empty building, they see an opportunity. They see something that can work. We cannot put them in the same box that we've been in where stuff has to be designed. So it's one of those, this is new for everyone, but I look forward to the opportunity. It's a challenge, but it's an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Elaine, you're up.
Yeah, we're looking at 2020, everyone's going through a big change. All families, individuals, this is an opportunity. We in the financial industry, we're talking about this as the big reset or the great reset. And it's an opportunity for the city as well to have a reset. I think we have new blood coming in, new energy. I think that's going to be a positive. And I realize that there's going to be a lot of changeover, but once everyone gets their sea legs, so to speak, I think we're going to come out of this stronger than we were going in. I'm positive. And I think that this is a huge opportunity for Frankfurt. And frankly, I'm excited about it. I'm not minimizing the changes that are happening. We got to be mindful of that. But it's a big opportunity, and I'm excited about it.
Okay. Steve Stewart. Hi. Frankfurt State Journal. You have the next question. Why don't you choose who you'd like to start with?
Good evening, guys. I'm going to start with Lane, if that's okay. But the question is for both of you. One of the first decisions that you will make as mayor is whether to continue the COVID emergency declaration that the current mayor issued a number of months ago. That declaration has been used by the current mayor with very wide latitude. Certainly applied to some COVID situations, but more broadly, for example, the power to sign contracts without formal approval by the city commission, most notably in Frankfurt's case, to sign a contract with an outside public relations firm. Will you, knowing what you know today, continue that emergency declaration or end it? Why or why not?
Well, I think since COVID is still continuing and it's escalating here in Kentucky, I think we have to continue that for the time being. Having said that, though, I do think that there are certain things that would be approved by the future commission before any major expenditures took place. I think that is good just to cover yourself anyway. But I do think that we need to continue on with the COVID emergency just because it still is an emergency. And one of the things I'm focused on now is the COVID-19 recovery. We have to get through this stronger than we were before. And I think for that reason, we will continue on with the emergency. But some things I realize we have to get approval just for the optics.
Thanks, Lane.
Quick follow-up, Lane. So just, Dave, just a quick follow-up, because I just want to make sure I'm hearing correctly. You're saying that you voluntarily seek commission approval on major expenditures even while the declaration is in effect. Am I hearing that correctly?
Correct. I do think that because the declaration is under effect, gives an umbrella where the city commission may be more likely to approve a major expenditure. And if I can't justify that as the mayor, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, is if I can't sell that to the commission, then maybe we shouldn't have it in place.
Thanks. Tommy Haynes, same question to you.
Okay, based on what I know today, I would continue the declaration because I don't see COVID-19 getting any weaker at this moment. Now, if I was to rewind the clock, I'm one of those that I really like consensus type of functions. And if you've been trained in emergency operations, you know that you normally have to get some groups together. So make sure you're making the right decision. I'm not saying it was a wrong one. It was a good decision for the time because it was his to make, because the way the policies are written now, he had that power. I'm just saying that anytime we should always be preparing for emergencies. Whether it's a tornado that comes through here or flooding or this pandemic. The only reason this is tough is because we've never been through this. But this is happening. We're able to learn from people all over the world. Thank you.
Quick follow-up question, Tommy. If elected, will you write your own speeches? Will you prepare your own quotes for press releases? Or will you hire an outside public relations firm to do those things for you? And I'd like to give Lane the opportunity to answer that question as well.
But that's a good question. I always write my own speeches because I enjoy the floweriness and, I just have a certain way that I talk. But I don't mind having somebody look over my speech just to make sure that I haven't misspelled something. I've written stated a word that probably could mean several different things because we have to be careful because, words are important. The worst lie that's ever been told is, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt you. Words do hurt. And it's one of those, I would like to make sure I get it right.
Steve,
did you use staff to do that, Tommy, or would you hire an outside firm? I'm a little unclear. You said you would like someone looking over your shoulder.
I would like for it to be staff.
Okay.
They're closer to me. They're going to know my personality. They're going to know my vision. They're going to know me. An outside person, I might as well contract with anybody.
Thank you.
No.
Lane, you going to do your own PR work, or are you going to hire somebody to do it for you?
Well, I would like to do my own, as you know, those answers that we submit to the State Journal every week. That's all me, and I think that that's going to be the same way as mayor. Now, having said that, there are things that I would rely on our staff to help me maybe, I guess, tighten it up. But I do think that the message is going to be mine, and I believe that's the way it should be.
Thank you both.
Okay, we're good. Okay, thank you. Kristen Cantrell, could you start your questions perhaps with Tommy Haynes this time?
Yes, absolutely. So describe the steps that you would take to increase understanding and support of Frankfurt's city manager form of government. What would you do to address the frequent turnover of city managers?
Okay. And first of all, I'm glad you asked that question, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about the city manager form of government. I mean, I even have people asking me, can I get them a job? That has nothing to do with being a mayor of this type of government. So it's one of those, the first thing we do is we actually use table 10, and we go through the steps of who's responsible for what. We have to do the same thing with these new commissioners that come on. When they come on, is you don't get a free reign. You know, we have a purpose. Our purpose is to make sure we're moving Frankfurt forever forward. If we're not doing it by the books and by the numbers, you can very easily take steps back. You know, it's one of those, if everybody's on the same sheet of music, it's easy to get the best solution out of it. One of the reasons I feel very blessed to have training on problem solving is because people will always have problems. I see your stop sign.
Yeah. Okay, Lane, you want a shot at that one?
Well, yeah, I think to rephrase it, I think it's about city manager form of government. I will say that I'm excited because as mayor, I want to be the person that's out in front and being the face of government, but not necessarily the one that's behind the scenes doing all the daily, day-to-day, managing the HR, the finance. Those are things that are better left for an executive like the city manager. And I believe that we can have a strong manager, a city manager form of government, and a strong mayor. And I think that if we can stick to our lanes, mayor does what they're supposed to do, city manager does what they're supposed to do. I think Frankfurt, it's like 1 + 1 = 3. I think combined, we will be a more effective form of government. So I'm fully supportive of the city manager form of government, and I'm excited to do what I know I do best, and that's being an ambassador for Frankfurt.
Thank you, Lane. Okay, we good, Kristen? You need any follow-ups? Okay, we'll go to Kathy. Kathy, your next question, you can choose who you want to direct it to first.
Okay.
Your choice.
All right. Well, I'll start with Lane. Let's follow up on the city manager form of government, because we are looking for a new city manager. So I want to ask each of you, what do you think are the qualities that our mayor and city commission should be looking for in a city manager? And we've had several of our city commission candidates say that or indicate that they would be willing to rehire Keith Parker. Is that something that you would consider?
Oh, sure. But I do think we would open this up for an application process again. And Keith is he's more than welcome to apply for the position again. I do think we want someone, what I would be looking for is someone who has experience managing people in stressful situations, someone who has an experience with a robust finance, HR, all the different areas that the city manager is going to have to deal with, and also some experience in following the chain of command, if you will. The policy is set by the mayor and the city commission, and it's the city manager's role to execute that policy. And I think there's some deviations could be allowed, but not too much. I think that's what I would be looking for.
Tommy?
Yes, I would definitely be looking for someone with managerial skills, people skills, and a good financial background. It's one of those, you have to manage a lot of different areas, and you don't have to be the expert in all of them, but you have to know something about all of them. because you got to make sure you know that you have the right people in the right spots and who to go to when when you need help. Because the city manager himself is like any other position. If you try to do it all himself, it's going to fall on his face. We have too much expertise in the city right now that has been here for a while, and we're losing people through retirements. So we need to be training those other people coming up to take those positions. So I definitely look at someone that has people skills, because that's going to keep the morale up. And you have a happy employee that has skills to be able to do the job.
Thanks, Tommy. Okay, Steve, we're back to you, I believe. Do you have a good question? And would you like to ask it of Tommy first, or is it specifically for Elaine?
Can I do a lightning round follow-up on Kathy's question before?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Sticking briefly with city manager, Tommy, let's start with you. Should this decision be this commission's or the commission that's elected on November 3rd? We should hire the next city manager.
With my experience, every time I've come on a board or went off a board in the city, we were hiring a city manager. So I think if history repeats itself, we'll be hiring one come January. I just don't see the continuity right now of them coming up to get the best person, because the person would have to work for who's in place at the time, not who's gone. So we want to make sure we get somebody. I would like to get somebody locally, because I think we need somebody that Frankfurt is their home, so they have an investment here.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Elaine, who should make the call? Current commission or next commission?
I think definitely our commission, the next commission, I should say. I think there's no doubt it should be the next commission. It's the decision that was made was so late in the game. I think that it has to fall to the next one. I mean, besides, who are we going to get? Qualified applicants, knowing that they could potentially be fired by the next commission that's coming in. We're not going to get the best of the best applicants, so it has to be the next commission.
Thank you both. Now on to my question, and Lane, I'll start with you on this one. Is Frankfurt a business-friendly community? If you believe so, tell us why you believe that to be so. And if you believe that we are not a business-friendly community, what will you do to fix that during your term?
Okay, I think it's all in the eye of the beholder. I believe that, small business-wise, Frankfurt's a fantastic community to start a business, including my own. I had virtually no impediments to start my business. I had to get a business license and a net profit. I pay my net profit license fee every year. Now, big business, there could be some impediments there that are some people view as restrictive. I think some of those, though, are state restrictions and not local restrictions. I do think we need to change that narrative. But I do think Frankfurt overall is small business friendly, and whatever we need to do to fix the business friendliness of the large business, I'm all for changing anything. And I'm going to be a mayor that's out in front, asking what we can do better.
Tommy Haynes.
Tommy, did you?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I was unmuted. Frankfurt is a business-friendly town, but it also has some things that we have to take a closer look at, because we have business coming in and business going out. We like the businesses coming in, but when they come in, we've got to find ways to keep them here. I owned a business down on St. Clair for several years, and the one thing that definitely had to happen, people have to know the rules up front, because what I'm being told is a lot of times they get into the process, and the process tells them it's going to take longer than they expected, or it's going to cost more than they expected. But these are things, fees are fixed. All this stuff needs to be up front, because I found out that the people have the knowledge, they'll come. If they see an opportunity here, they'll build. This is a great city. We have the riverbanks, we have historic sites, we have everything needed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Haynes. I believe we're going to Kristen Cantrell for the next question. Kristen, you pick.
Well, I want to do a follow-up on this question that Steve asked, because we talk a lot about business friendly and how it's defined, and people say we are and people say we aren't. but no one ever seems to say, what's the hitch in the giddy up? Like, where is the stalling thing happening and how do we fix it? So my question to you is, for those things that you're saying are impediments, whether it's for big business or small business or any business, what is that thing that people have this perception of us about, that we're not business friendly? What is that thing? Because until we identify it specifically, we can't fix it.
Is this to me?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lane, you can start. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I got all sorry.
Well, no, I do believe, and one of the things I would want to do is create an office of business success. And that is the one point contact for businesses that are starting here or expanding here, where they talk to one department, one person, and that person does the rest. And I think that's what we need. We need one person to take care of the rest and help people, guide people through the process of starting a business. And I think some of it also is self-talk. Some of this is self-perpetuating, where it's our own self-talk that gets spread out into the broader, across the state, and that needs to end.
Okay, thanks, Lane. Mr. Haynes.
Yes, you asked for that one thing. Well, I think it's more than one thing, but let me give you a shot at it. Let me give myself a shot at it. What I've heard the most has been the process and the timing. Matter of fact, when I hear complaints that businesses saying we're not business friendly, it's not the policies. The policies are in place. It's the timing. They're saying that they could do it somewhere else quicker than they can do it here. It's not the price. So it's one of those, and it also depends on what kind of business you're open, because it's a lot different type if you're talking about a lawn care versus another type building. But I would be willing to talk about that at another time longer.
Do we want a follow-up question here to delve into it a little bit more or not? Are we good?
No, well, yeah, I do have a follow-up. I mean, I moved here 9 years ago, and I think I've heard this discussion for the past 9 years. So I'm an outsider, right? And I've been trying to get to the core of this as an outsider, but a business owner for the last 9 years, because I didn't experience this problem. I haven't had a problem. It's been very friendly for me. So, but it's not friendly for others. But this discussion of an ombudsman, a central area, a business support center, an entrepreneurial incubator. We've thrown around a lot of ideas like that, but it needs money. It always comes down to money. So I guess my question would be, would you be willing to lead the charge in funding a position or a department like that within the city? Tommy? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
I would lean toward funding something like that because it's too important. It's like you said, if you've been here this long and the good part about it, you didn't have any problems. So that means you had the right paperwork, the right knowledge, and you was able to move it forward. If they could do that for your shop, you should be able to do the same thing on a different scale for other shops. And what we have to do is look and see which shops are the ones saying this is a problem. Because you're absolutely correct. Not all of them are saying we have a problem. They also said that this is the friendliest town they've ever been to. But you have that one or two person that might come in and say there's nothing to do here. So why you should stay here? So that's some things that we have to look at. What can we do to make this a more attractive place for people to build business?
Thanks, Tommy.
Can I follow up on that? I think that
yes, please.
I would fund this as a city position because like you said, we've heard this. I moved back 16 years ago. I started my business here, and I didn't have those same, I didn't have that same experience as some people say. I want to have somebody accountable in the city that we can fall back on and say, you're in charge of this. I don't want any excuses anymore on this. I think this is an opportunity. With COVID-19, people are looking to change where they live. I think Frankfurt is prime for the cost of living, the scalability. If you're going to start a small business that's remote, that is global in e-commerce, this is the place to do it.
Thanks, Lynn.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Any more follow-ups? We okay?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Kathy Lindsay.
Yes.
Next question, you choose.
Okay. Tommy? We've been talking about, businesses in our community, and as we're coming, we're in a rough time right now with COVID-19, and businesses are really, they're really having some hard times and going through a hardship right now. So, do you have any proposals as far as economic development is concerned that would help our communities, small business and industries recover from the impact of COVID-19?
Yes, I've attended a class that said go from pandemic to plandemic. This is a time and opportunity for us to plan for going through the process. Businesses are having a rough time at this point. I mean, all of them. I've listened to them talk about the banking world, the things that are changing there. They want to lend money, but they're very cautious because, yes, you're going to get some federal money, you're going to request some state money, and then we have to look at our own city money, see what we have and what the effect that this pandemic has had on us, and say, okay, now this has had this, what organizations can we partner with that we can get through this? You look at the bottom line, you look at the vision of where you're trying to go. So now how many other people can help us to get there? And we'll put in our share of money, they'll put in their share of money. And I've seen it work that way, and it works terrific.
Thanks, Tommy. Elaine?
Yeah, going through the COVID-19 crisis and the pandemic, we need to make sure, first and foremost, that the city finances are in tip-top shape going through this, that we minimize the effects there that we may see we've already seen with the state occupational tax revenue, but also supporting our small businesses. We need to make sure that they are supported in next year, 2021. We need to make sure everybody in Frankfurt shops local, and the mayor needs to have a campaign, if you will, to get that message out. Now's the time to shop local as much as you can. And beyond that, though, we need to see through the other side of the crisis, and that's making sure that Frankfurt from now on is more diversified economically away from state government. We need to start focusing on a way to revitalize our city, not just downtown, but at the east and the west sides as well. If we focus on those quality of life issues, we'll start to attract people here.
Okay. Kathy, do you have any follow-up questions? Or are we going to pass it to ready to pass it to Steve?
Sorry, I was on mute the whole time.
No, I'll pass it to Steve.
Steve, you got the ball.
No, you weren't.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just spent an exhilarating hour with city commissioner candidates before you guys came in, and one of the common themes during that hour was relative lack of residential growth in Frankfurt. There was some dispute in that call about whether we've grown 2% or 4% or 7%, but over decades, suffice to say that Frankfurt has not grown residentially as fast as its neighbors. Several housing developments on the horizon now. Parcels B and C, a big component of that is housing. You all might have read in our newspaper, condos proposed for Wilkinson Boulevard, overlooking the Kentucky River, a large townhouse development on Versailles Road on the old country club property. That suggests that the problem is lack of housing, that if we build it, they will come. Is that our problem, or is it quality of life? Lane, your thoughts?
Well, I do think, of course, the easy answer is it's a combination, but I do think that lack of housing is a problem. In my business, I have clients that would move downtown in a second if there was something that fit their needs. We are limited somewhat by space, so we have to be creative, but I'm supportive of the parcels B and C. That residential is going to be the number one priority I will focus on in that development. But beyond that, I'm excited to see the other proposals for Wilkinson Boulevard and even on Versailles Road out by the Brighton Park. I think that, and we can also build up too. I think a lot of people would be happy to live on a second or third floor if it were newer and something more modern. what I'm as mayor, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get people. We need to pack in the density downtown. Quality of life will follow.
Thanks,
Quick
Lane.
follow-up, Elaine. What's the proper mix of rental and owner-occupied housing?
I don't know the exact perfect mix of that. In an ideal world, it would all be owner-occupied, and I think that because people would care more about their own personal property. But I do realize that we're going to have a combination of that. I think it is more. I'd rather have more owner-occupied than what we have now. How about that?
We ready to go with Tommy? We good?
Yes.
Yes, and
Tommy, you got the.
I'm going to answer that follow-up question. Right now, the last time I checked, it was about 50% rentals. And so it's about right that we're running neck and neck. It would be better if we had more people who are buying here. We have a lot of people that come looking, and other people are moving out and moving into other communities. So I think that it's not a build it and they will come. We have to create something that they want to come to. We have a lot of historic property. We also have a lot of historic houses. That means they're old. Now, unless somebody's going to renovate those, typically it's the person that currently owns that one. But if you build these other houses, they will come out. They just built a housing area out at Westbrook. They can't build them fast enough. People are moving in them because, they do look good.
Thank you. Can I ask a quick follow-up question, Steve?
Please do.
One thing I've heard over the years were impediments to real estate development. From your perspective, we'll start with you, Tommy. Are you aware of any reason why we wouldn't have more people willing to develop real estate in our community?
Some people don't want more neighborhoods because I know some people that own like 50 acres that could really do some community stuff, but they choose not to. They actually bought some of their property so they would not build any more houses coming close to them. So we do have to look and see what properties are available and where we can build. Because I've heard a lot of talk over the years, the area over by McDonald's on the west side, all that property over there, they've talked about there's a lot of land over there unused, but we do have to inventory the land that we have.
Thank you. Lane, you want to crack at that one?
Absolutely. My wife and I have rehabbed several properties in and around downtown South Frankfurt, and I can tell you it's hard to get the rents that you need to justify the expense and rehabbing that property. And I think that we need to get incomes up. We need to get property values up. I think that will attract and give confidence to future investors into downtown. Until Frankfurt starts growing, we're not going to see the development that we want. People need to see a trend, and until we get that, we won't have it. But in the meantime, there are a lot of vacant lots in and around downtown and the core, and there's lots of opportunity there.
Thank you, Lane. Okay, I appreciate that. Steve, any more follow-ups, or I'm going to pass it on to Kristen? We good? Okay. Kristen, your choice. Next question. We've only got time for one, maybe two, so go ahead and ask your question, and we may have time for one for Kathy.
Okay, I'll start with Tommy. And if you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why?
I could change one thing. I think the code would be the business ones. I do think that we have. That's a good question, Christy. What code would I change? That's
a good question.
I can't come up with a specific code that I would change. I know that the neighborhood I lived in, we changed one code so that we could build a fire station. I think it's based more on need than it is the code. And of course, we had to go through all the proper procedures, to get that done. Also, some places want to build apartments. If the person doesn't want an apartment, then of course, they're going to fight to not have it there. I don't think there's anything wrong with our coding system. We need to be looking at our needs, and we need to work toward things becoming, need-based.
Okay, thank you. Lane, have you had a shot at that one? Yes,
and because in anticipation of the what I think is going to be the future growth of Frankfurt with population and the economy and all the new businesses we're going to have. I do think if I were going to change one thing, I would lean toward more of a form-based code so that we can, particularly with parcels B and C and anything in the city core, to reduce some restrictions so that you don't have to have specific types of businesses or specific types of uses in certain areas, but let it develop incrementally. I think that is the most important thing. I think if we can grow incrementally, step by step, it's going to create a more sustainable economy, a more sustainable Frankfurt. And I think that's going to, going forward, that's the future. I think form-based code would be something I would look at.
Okay, thanks, Blaine. Kristen, you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, do you have a great question to ask? We got time for one, maybe two. So
Okay.
stay ready, Steve.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go.
Sure. Just beyond the basics of what we know about you, obviously, both candidates, we know that you care a lot about our community. That's why you're running for mayor. And that you have a lot of ideas to get us moving in the right direction. But you haven't had the chance to campaign as we would like to. So just beyond the basics of what people know about you, what is something that you want voters to know about you that sets you apart from your opponent? Oh, Lane.
Okay, I would say my experience as a business owner and a financial advisor, as a successful money manager, I believe that, along with the people skills, you have to have the people skills. You have to get people to go along with the vision that you are setting out there. But I think that it's the financial management and money skills that I think is going to be more critical than ever, particularly in the COVID-19 recovery. I think next 2 years are going to be critical for Frankfurt to prosper. We need to make sure we come out of this stronger than we were going into it.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
The first thing that I want people to know is my background is leadership, achievement, and service. Leadership, I think, is needed because we're in trying times. And I also have a diverse amount of leadership. It's not in one area or the other. It's either military, it's athletic. I've been blessed just having those kind of leadership experiences. When you get to the service part, I feel like a servant leader. That's why I served on 8 boards while I've been here in Frankfurt, because each one of those boards, over half of them, I became either the president or the chairman. And I didn't ask for those positions, wasn't even when I was seeking. But it's one of those, I feel like I've been trained for times like these. These are not normal times. And it's not going to be normal times for a while. I want to use every bit of background that I have going forward through this to bring us through this pandemic and beyond.
Thanks, Tommy. Steve, you got one final question to close us out, sir? You got the floor.
It won't surprise you two guys that the newspaper man wants to ask you about transparency. It's tempting to have you critique the current commission on transparency, but I'm not going to do that because we don't have enough time. Too much fodder lately from that group. What you would do to make city government more transparent, and please be specific and avoid generalities. Thanks.
For me?
Lane first, yes.
Okay, I would, to be transparent, I think first and foremost, I do think that the government needs to come meet the people where they are. And I think that could be either a combination of town halls in certain sections of town, east, west, downtown. I do think that we need periodically to set aside time to go to a high school, have all the department heads be there, and have breakout sessions, if you will, to educate the public and allow people to ask questions and submit their feedback. Because I think it's hard for people to go to all of the city committee. It's hard to do that. And I think beyond that, I do think that, beyond the closed sessions, I do think that just publicizing things more in advance is important, and just being open with the community. I think that's the first step.
Quick follow-up question, Lane. Should we get back to some version of in-person meetings, or do you favor continuation of virtual only? meetings?
Well, I think as a city, from a city's perspective, I think in person is important. It is important for citizens' comments to be heard in person. That eyeball to eyeball contact makes a big difference. Personally though, I am still apprehensive of being in an enclosed room with a bunch of people because of COVID-19. So, I think that from the city standpoint, yes, we need to get back to in person, but for the time being, if we can get through this doing virtually, I'm going to be supportive of that too. So that's my answer.
Tommy Haynes, what specifically would you do to make city government more transparent?
I think the biggest thing is that we have to have training. And you can do training in several different ways. You can do it the way we're doing it now on Zoom. You can do it on Cable 10. The more information people have, the more they'll buy into it, because that's what we're talking about. Sometimes people don't trust the information because they're not in on it. If they was talking about this information beforehand, they would know how we got that to that point. They only hear about it afterwards. Also, the in-person, of course, it's better to meet in person if you can socially distance. But at this point in time, I don't see in-person meetings going a long way, because I still see a rise in the stuff that's happening in the pandemic repositories. Other things, we have to make sure we get our youth involved. When we're working with schools, they want to know how the system works, and they don't get the civics in school they used to.
Elaine Wilkerson, why don't you start with a closing statement? 1 minute, sir.
Okay. Well, when I was growing up in Frankfurt back in the 70s and 80s, Frankfurt was a place that mattered. And I think somehow over the last couple of decades, we've lost our self-esteem. And I think we need to get our self-confidence back. And to accomplish some of the things that I've discussed, economic development, city revitalization, COVID-19 recovery, it's going to take the efforts of many different individuals and many different organizations. And I think we need someone in the mayor's office who can bring everyone together and start to get things done. And if you'd like to learn more about my campaign and my plans for Frankfurt's future, you can visit lanewilkerson.com. And that's spelled L-A-Y-N-E, wilkerson.com. I humbly ask for your vote and thank everyone tonight for their time.
Thank you, Lane. Tommy Haynes, you have the final closing statement.
Thank you, David. Well, first of all, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this, because this is the only way we get a chance to get out. We get our own square. I've been blessed so much that, it's just ridiculous. But it's one of those that I want to make sure that I bring leadership to Frankfurt, the kind of leadership that they haven't seen before, because God only made me. I actually got trained with listening skills. That's one of the things that are lacking. My master's degree is in counseling. It takes a lot to listen to people. We have a diverse community. We've got to make sure we listen to all the parts to make them work. I'm a trained problem solver. I finished up in Boston, Massachusetts with the organization Dynamics. And the way they solve problems using the FADE, which is F-A-D-E, focus, analyze, develop, and execute. And if you use those steps, you won't go wrong, because what happens, you get to the root of the problem, which is why I hope to be able to answer Kristen's question about that, why the businesses do that. Because I have not had a chance to utilize that on that one yet. I'm all about teamwork. When I made the Olympic team, I was not the best athlete, but was elected the co-captain because of my leadership abilities. That is what I want to bring to Frankfurt. Tommy Haynes for mayor.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Thank you, Lane. We appreciate the candidates, Tommy Haynes and Elaine Wilkerson. Thank you to both of you for being here and being generous with your time. This video will be edited and will begin airing next week leading up to the election. This is probably one of the last chances all of you have at the same time to reach the entire community. And it'll be aired along with the other forums that you've had an opportunity to participate in between now and the election. Our thanks to Cable 10 for that work. I want to thank my panel. They do a fabulous job every time. It's amazing. And if you just think about the questions you've been asked tonight, you realize how much preparation they have put into this. And so we greatly appreciate it. And that's Steve Stewart from the Frankfurt State Journal. We've got Kathy Lindsay from the Frankfurt Plant Board, and we've got Kristen Cantrell from Cap City Communications. Our timer this evening has been Susie Hosley, incoming interim president of the Frankfurt Area Chamber of Commerce. Susie, thanks for all that you do. I hope we didn't cut you off too bad. We did try to warn you ahead of time that we were going to try to keep this moving. David Columbia of Frankfurt also has been helping us with manage the transmission, recording all the different phases so that he can create an appropriate video of this that'll air on Cable 10. I'm Dave Weller, who's been your moderator tonight. Most things I would tell you is be sure to vote on November 3rd or before. You can start voting October 13th, actually in the polling places. But the most important thing is to remember to vote. If you don't make your voice heard, then we end up with the government we deserve. So it's important that everybody vote, be a part of the decision, and then be a part of the solution. I want to thank everybody again for being here. Frankfurt Area Chamber of Commerce. Our co-sponsors tonight were the Frankfurt State Journal, the Frankfurt Plant Board, Cap City Communications, and Together Frankfurt. I want to thank all of those organizations for being a part. Thank you. Good luck to all of you in the race for mayor, and good evening. Have a nice evening. Thank you.